Hello, welcome to Studio Talks. My name's James Swift.
I'm Josh McNorton, and our guest today is
Mike Pirks from Productions.
Hey, Mike, you okay?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourselves?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm good. I'm good. So, how are you doing in the lockdown? And do you have any advice for people who may be struggling?
I'm coping fine with lockdown now. I think at the beginning it was a massive adjustment, and it meant like a lot of plans or a lot of things went out completely out the window. So it was very difficult. I think as sort of time's gone on, I've managed to distract myself by doing sort of for creative things online, which is what you guys are doing, which is brilliant. And just sort of engaging with people. I just try to focus on other things like trying to lose weight and try and look after myself a bit better. So I'm coping very well with it now. In the beginning, it was tough, but I always believe that there's other people that are suffering a lot more than I am, really. So for me, I'm not at home, stuck with kids, or I'm not a key worker or anything like that. So, I have sort of counted my blessings, so to speak. I suppose my advice would be anyone who is struggling is just find ways to keep yourselves engaged.
Definitely.
Even if you just speak to a friend online, or you message someone, or just find some sort of release, and also just try and get out if you can and have a good look, go have a good walk around, go for a stroll. Just take in this time, because I can guarantee that as life moves back to normal, you won't get that again. So I would just say embrace the time that you've got now to focus on yourselves.
Definitely. I mean, there's never going to be a time for a very long time where someone just says you're allowed to take time off, just enjoy yourself for a bit.
Yes.
In terms of finding that thing to kind of take your mind, what is your specific? Have you had a specific thing throughout this lockdown that you've kind of worked on?
Yes, I mean, with Soup, we've tried to keep engaged as much as possible, because we meant to have a show done in October, which obviously we've had to postpone to next year, which hopefully it will still go ahead. What we have done in the meantime is I've been producing little radio plays.
Really?
Yeah, using Zoom, because I got very quickly educated on what Zoom could do and how brilliant it was. My friend Danny had to teach me how to use it and how you can record stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought, once I can record sessions, I can maybe put some little plays together. So we did some radio plays, which have just gone out on our YouTube channel, and they've been received really well. I managed to write a few of them. I helped produce, direct them, and we got the cast involved, along with people outside of our group as well, to get involved. So that's kind of what we're working on. And today we actually went out, me and one other cast member went to a pub in Stockton Heath, which our friend runs, and we were able to do like a little short 5-minute socially distanced play or film, which I'm going to be editing and putting together. So currently working on that. I'm also part of other groups as well, and we've been finding ways to try and keep engaged with them as well. So that could be quizzes or little social events as well. So that's kind of what I've been working on really during this time.
That's brilliant. That's really good to hear.
I'm just planning ahead. I think really it's now focusing on, right, next year, potentially we can start doing more things and just look at what we can do and, look at the potential risks ahead. So that's been good.
Really?
How did you get involved in the studio?
Well, I got involved when I first met Jackie Florrick, the legend that is Jackie Florrick. I met up, we started talking about, I think about over 12 years ago, to be perfectly fair. I think I must have run into her after a show or something. And then she was talking about the Queen's Hall studio coming back, and I've been really on board with that ever since. I remember when we actually went to the site for the first time, I think it was about 2007, and where it was just all hanging wires and dark, no lights. It was grungy and horrible and whatnot. And from then, I sort of, the group that I was running at the time, which was Split Ends, we wanted to set up a residency there as a regular drama group. So Once it reopened, we managed to get in and do our rehearsals there. We've done a few shows there as well over the years. We've done fundraising events in there. So the studio has, I've always supported the studio returning and what it does and what its central message is. To supporting young artists and, try and give people a platform to learn how to perform and how to engage with the public. And, in return of that, we've tried to use the studio as much as possible over the years as well, so that it generates as much income so it can keep going as well. So my involvement mainly is with Louise at the moment, who runs it, who's marvellous, who's probably six to the back teeth of me, because every so often I text say, can we do this?
I was going to say, I bet she, not you specifically, I just mean, I wonder how many texts she gets a day where it's, Lou, do you mind if we do this? Or Lou, because she must be...
It's probably a lot. Yeah. Bless her. She's so patient about it.
No, definitely. And she is definitely the backbone of the building, isn't she?
She is. Yeah. She completely... I think she embodies what the studio is about. And I think that's great. And I think that she actually leads the charge on a lot of things that go on with the studio. And I think one of the things that I've really liked is what the studio has done during lockdown.
Definitely.
Done the studio sessions, which are fabulous, by the way. Fantastic hosts. I must say. I just like little fun games that you guys have done, and like some little music videos, and I think it's good for morale, and hopefully it'll be used as a way to encourage other people to get involved with the studio as well.
Yeah, I think that's the first week of lockdown. My first thought was, okay, so how do we do work while doing? Because I was like, how do we do work without physically being in the studio? So no, I think I completely agree with that.
It was a lot different for me, wasn't it? Because I didn't do any of the editing and stuff, did I?
Yeah, exactly.
I was looking bad, don't I? So I was just...
Yeah. Mike's gone. How are you, Josh?
I'm alright, pal.
Mike's already sick of us.
No, I had to shut the door because my stepdad is being extremely loud next door. He doesn't realise that I'm actually being recorded, so I had to go in. So I thought, you two are talking, so that's great. I'll just go and shut that door quietly. So apologies for that. I wasn't.
Oh no, don't be silly. No, we always like to address when someone walks off, because it's just. Anyway, sorry. So, what inspired you to pursue theatre?
Oh, I think it's in my blood, to be perfectly fair. I think from the minute I came into this world, I think I came out with jazz hands and went, I'm here. I started out when I was about 8. I went to my very first drama club when I was 8, and it was at the Shopping City Library little theatre, which is... There's a little cafe area in the library. I'm not sure whether I think you guys are too young to remember it.
Which library are you on about? The one in Widnes or the one in Runcorn?
But the one in Runcorn. So in Runcorn, there used to be a cafe area just back in the day.
I don't remember that.
I don't know either. I think I've only ever been there once in my life.
Right, well, thanks for aging me, guys. I've got socks older than you, There used to be a little cafe area underneath the library. There was a little tiny theatre, and I used to go down on a Saturday morning for a couple of hours and just used to learn how to perform. That was the only place. And then when we used to do our end of year shows, we used to go to the Queen's Hall. So I've always done shows and loved it, and just loved the opportunity to show off a little bit, which I think every performer does. Every performer who says they don't is lying. It's an absolute lie. If you are happy to get up on stage and perform and show how good you are, I don't think it's a bad trait. You've got a talent to use it. And then sort of over the years, like I went to college with it, I went to university with it, and then within that, I was involved with drama clubs, and then I set up my own, and then down the line, I joined other groups, and then got asked to do other things, and obviously Soup happened. Soup is sort of my magnum opus, if that's the right word. And I've just always done it, and I've always loved it. I didn't get into the writing side of it or the producing side of it until much later in life. I think it was after university when I wanted to start producing my own stuff and producing and collaborating with other people on original stuff. And that's kind of where that's come from. And now, as much as I love performing, my central responsibility now is to encourage others to create their own stuff and to give them a platform, which Soup does. That's kind of where I am now with it.
We've had that a couple of times where the people we've asked about this has said that one of their favorite things doing theatre is watching people you've kind of taught and wrote for and directed to actually go on and do great things. Does that make sense? We've had that a couple of times.
It's great. It's a great feeling, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
kind of feel like you've succeeded in some way.
Definitely.
It doesn't. It's a bit like if you're a good manager at work. You know, your job is to make other people great. It's not down to you to be great, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
I'd be much happier watching someone who I've taught over the years or I've encouraged over the years go out on stage and go, I'm now ready to do it. You kind of become like a proud mama bear. I just go, oh, my boy.
Well, that's in the nature of teaching, isn't it? Like that's what teaching is all about, watching people go on and
blossom.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'd become jealous of them at the same time. You go.
Yeah, that was going to be my next.
I was
just about to ask. Do you think there's a little bit of you that, if you did teach someone who went on and did amazing things, would there be a little bit of you that's like, I could have done that?
Bit embittered, always, always. I just turn around and say, "Oh, they would have got nowhere without me. How dare they?" No, I don't think that at all. I just think good on them. I've obviously helped shape in that way. And if I don't see them again down the line, then as sad as that will be, it just means that they're in a much better place and they are doing what they want to do, which I think is always a benefit for me.
Really? Cool.
What is the origin of Soup Productions?
Oh, the origin of Soup. So on the seventh day, Soup was created. Soup sort of came out. It had a bit of a weird beginning because Soup started out officially as Real Thing Theatre in 2016. So there was me, Danny Shaw, Mike Ridd, and Simon Choate, very good friends of mine, happened for many years. We did a show called Bouncers, which I think James worked tech for.
Yes, I did, yes.
Yes, you did, and we drove you mad because we kept changing our minds.
I often call Bouncers the reason I got a rabbit, because with the pay of that, I went home, and then the next day I went out and got a rabbit, and was like, "This is to relieve stress."
That's absolutely fantastic. You know what? I will take that accolade. I encourage someone to go and buy a rabbit after a show.
Yeah,
I will take that. That will be on my gravestone. Encourage those to buy pets. But we did Bouncers because we've always wanted to do it, and it was the right opportunity. I needed to find a new outlet somewhere, and we did it, and we made around 500 quid at the time. It was really well received. At the same time, Soup was merging. We did a Halloween show in October, which no one came to see, sadly. And from that, we decided to keep Soup going, and then we sort of merged both, and then we put the money that we had into Bouncers into Soup, and from there we had our first show in Grimms Valley in 2017, and from there we've just started to grow gradually. So we did our first show in the studio in 2017. We've then done a couple of fundraisers still at the studio since then, and then we moved into the Brindley for 2018 and 2019 to actually do our first fully fledged theatre shows, which was Murder at Cadbury Manor in 2018, which is hilarious, and that we got 2 sold out performances of that out of 3 shows, which I think is pretty impressive for a new group. And The Dawn of Dracula, which was last November, and that got a sellout performance as well. And from there, every show we've made has made money, and we've had new people join in. But yeah, that's where the origins come from. If you want a deeper meaning as to why it's called Soup, it's because we were looking at a thesaurus, and we wanted something to feel collaborative. We wanted something that feels like a mashup of everything,
Right.
not just theatre. And soup was there, and we're like, we could put anything into a soup, and that's why it's called Soup Productions.
Brilliant. I'll be honest with you. Normally, when we ask people what the origin of a name is, they say like, "Oh, it was just the first thing I saw. It was such a thing, or whatever." And I genuinely thought soup. I thought, I bet that's like they just saw soup on the cupboard or something. So that's actually really good to hear that it's got a meaning behind.
Soup at the time in Wetherspoons. Why? No, it just.
It's nice to hear that it's got like a proper meaning behind it.
Well, I kind of hope so. It's not particularly deep. It's just we wanted something that meant collaborative, and we didn't want to pick something that was a bit, for want of a better phrase, bit woolly. So we just thought soup. And actually, it's a good conversation starter.
Yeah, definitely.
When people say, "Why are you called soup?" So then we go into the whole explanation as to why it's called that, and everyone's going, "Oh, that's good." So they said, "Oh, you're going to do a show one day called Big Soup."
That'll be good.
If we run a kids group one day, we'll call that Little Soup. Of Little Soup and Big Soup.
I mean, that's kind of what I was just about to say as well. Where soup is very good at including all ages. Where you often have a show just for the full family, and then one for maybe more grown up people. You know what I mean? I always find that quite interesting about soup, where you always have a good variety for people. If that makes sense.
No, I'm glad to hear that. That's lovely to hear that. I mean, at the moment, we only take on people from the age of 16, just for insurance policies more than anything else. We just can't get insured for younger. I'm not saying it's something that we won't look into in the future, but at the moment, I think our youngest member is about 16, 17, and I'm probably one of the eldest. Feel free to disagree with me at any point.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not.
the ship has sailed. But we've got a good mixture, and I think that's why we work so well. And because sometimes with multi-generational groups like that, it can be very much us and them, and the younger lot against the older lot. And we just don't. I think we're a little bit immature, to be perfectly fair. That's probably why we get on so well. But we talk about the same things, we laugh at the same things, we all find comfort in each other, and it doesn't become about it's not about age or about experience. It's just about us getting together and doing the right thing by the show, by the audience, and by us as a group. And I think having different people of different age factors helps as well, because like the younger lot, I might be shooting myself in the foot by saying this, but the younger lot will understand stuff like social media better. They'll have more ideas about how we could promote to a younger crowd. The older ones will have the experience to say, well, maybe you could advertise this way. Actually, if they see there's older people in the group, they will get in touch. They will get in contact as well. So that it works a little bit, because it just means that everyone can get involved.
Brilliant. So, how do you feel like the arts have been affected by lockdown?
It's just been blown by a massive bullet. I think COVID for the world of theatre and any sort of performance is basically one massive grenade that's been left and it's gone off. I definitely think it's going to be one of the last things that opens up when
definitely
COVID eventually ends. I know there's discussions now about theatre socially distancing and all that, and I think it's great that I think it's lovely those conversations are now being had, because I was a bit worried it was getting left in the background. I mean, it was only a few weeks ago when I was watching the news, and it was the first news article that I'd seen or heard that was focused on theatre, and this was about 3 months after lockdown happened. It was like that conversation hadn't happened. I think my concern is you can socially distance an audience and you can include masks and stuff like that. I'm always going to be thinking about how you have actors engaged and how you have dancers engaged. I mean, particularly if it's plays that are very romantic driven. You've got plays that require actors to kiss. You've got shows in which dancers have got to be entwined quite intimately. I just think how you get around that. I do think that it will move on to a much more manageable state at some point. I think somewhere someone will come up with, oh, we could, we'll do it like this. I think as long as there is a good plan in place and everyone feels safe and everyone can go out and enjoy it again, I do believe we'll get to that point. I think it'll take a little bit of time. It may not happen overnight, but I think as time goes on, I think there will be steps put in place to try and make it at least enjoyable for people. It's good on a separate note as well. It's good, like for the financial side, like the government is actually now stepping in. I agree with that. I think it's good that they're stepping in to help fund theatre, try and get it back in the public sector. But I just think it'll be a slow process, but I think we'll get there, and I think it'll maybe not go back to how it was, but I think there will be a new way to enjoy it.
Definitely. Do you think I just thought, I'll be honest with you, I thought of something when you said about how do actors in romantic relationships do, and I had the thought of like a guy and a girl either side of the room, and one of them saying, "Come and kiss me," and then he goes, "No, I'm social distancing." Like, that's just a joke.
I may write one of those in my own plays at some point. Social COVID
the play.
COVID the play, which you have cast at 2 miles. That's a little bit too far out, but 2 meters, yeah, absolutely. I think to be honest, I think there'll be some brilliant creative person out there who will do that.
Yeah.
Who will try and, for want of a better phrase, we'll make a joke of it, and we'll put a positive spin on the situation. And I think that'll be brilliant, and I think it'll be funny, and it'll be clever. I mean, we've sort of talked about, we wanted to do a show when we come back, a much smaller show, to just try and sort of get people back in. And we've talked about little things that we could do. We could do sketches in which they're 2 meters apart, and we could have an introduction which we've got masks on and no one could hear a word that we're saying. That could happen. But I think, but I agree with you. I think it would be a good creative choice to try and take advantage of that.
Yeah, make light of it, because the thing is I think
the world's serious enough, isn't it?
I think we need someone to go, isn't this funny, because it's not funny at all, but like, let's make a joke. Well, not a joke out of it. I'm going to stop backpedaling.
Someone to try and put a music anecdote to it. We have a lot of people who do stuff online, who do like singing videos, and will do big serious bits of poetry and drama, and they're absolutely great. But I think in situations like this, I think where we as a country excel is our sense of humour.
Definitely.
I think that's what we do really well. So there should be someone who can do that. I probably will have a go at some point, just to risk it not offend anyone. That's always going to be the main thing. But I think as long as you know that fine line as to how far you go with it.
Exactly,
it'll be stuff that people could whinge about. Like, I whinge when I go to a shop and I've got my mask on and my eyes are melting, and but hopefully we'll get around that.
Definitely.
Hopefully. So what was your favourite show you've done?
Yodo.
Yodo.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing Yodo.
Like Yodo.
Yodo, the Russian ballet. I did. Yodo. I struggled with this one because I love every single show I've done. Well, not every single, but I think in terms of plays, because I've done plays and musicals over the last few years. Doing musicals has been brilliant. I can't really sing a note, but I perform really well in them, and I do okay. But in terms of plays, I'd have to say my favourite one is Bouncers. Just everything went right about it. It was the right play at the right time. It was 4 guys trying to play 35 different characters, and that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing more than one character. And There was no big set. It was just a great vibe. The rehearsals were really good fun. There was very little stress. The audience absolutely loved it as well. And we make money from it. I know you don't. I know money's a big factor in it, but you don't always make it just to make money. But that was my favourite play. I think in terms of musicals, I think my favourite one would have to be Grease. I did Grease in 2016. That was my first one with Centenary Theatre Company, who took me in, and I loved it. It was just the best experience, and I got to learn new things about myself as a performer. I got to meet new people. It was essentially like starting over again, because I hadn't been a part of a new society in over 10 years. So it was very nerve-wracking, and I was lucky enough that I auditioned for something. I got it. I got the part I wanted. And then I got to learn these dance routines. I got to meet a whole new bunch of friends. It was just a brilliant experience. So I think in terms of musicals, that, and maybe Oliver. I have a very soft spot for Oliver the musical. But yeah, they're definitely my favourite shows, I think.
I always do this. I answer my own questions. If I had to answer that question for you.
That's a very good show itself.
I genuinely enjoy bounces. Like, it's one of those things where in my head, when I look back at it, I go, that was such a cool experience to be part of. And also your Grimm's Brothers, the Grimm's Brothers one.
Oh, Grimm's Valley. Yes,
yeah.
That was
I genuinely, I thought it was hilarious, and it was so funny. Like, it was really well done as well. And yeah, no, I really like that. And it was interesting as well, because I always find the Grimm's Brothers to be a really interesting topic to write about. So yeah, that's the answer to the question that I wasn't asked. It was a good
daft one to do, Grimm's Valley. I think it was the right one for us. We have taught, me and Daddy who also runs Soup with me, who's like so brilliant, and we just bounce off each other. I think that's what makes Soup run so well, because we both get on so when we think the same. We've talked about potentially we could do Grimm's Valley again one day, and just give it a much bigger platform, give it a much bigger set if we need to. But yeah, I think it was the right show for us to start off with, and then from that we've been able to build and build and build.
Definitely. It reminded me of
It reminded you of No. The word no.
It reminded me of, like with The Simpsons, when they do like one-offs where they do like a 3-part
Treehouse of Horror. Yeah.
But they did one with
I was thinking more of the Family Guy one when they did Fairy Tales.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a really good. I think that's kind of where it came from. I thought, I wonder if I could do a darker version of, not as funny version of that. But yeah, I suppose that's where it comes from. But the good thing is, fairy tales always exist, and people are always reading them, and people are always putting new spins on them. So I think they're an easy tool to use, and they're a good tool to use, because if you can get kids in early enough and you can give them a really good production of something, they'll demand to see good stuff as to go along. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Cool. So what got you interested in combining music and theatre?
I think it's just always been something that I've been interested in. I've only really got into musicals, I think, in the last few years. I think the first one I did was Little Shop of Horrors. I mean, I did some at college, but the first proper one that I did was Little Shop of Horrors a few years ago, which is a brilliant musical. Hopefully I'll be able to get involved with that with another society one day. What we tried to do with Sue is we try and make things multi-platformed. So when we try and do shows, we don't just focus on theatre, or we don't just focus on acting. We try and do projects that will include music. Like when we first started, we did Claire Williams, who was a part of Soup at the time. She put together like a little music event to help fundraise for Soup. When we've done the variety shows, and we did movie night last year, not last week. No one came to that last week. We try and do songs incorporated with sketches as well, and then we try and do dance as well. We did a dance piece in Dracula as well, to just sort of vary it up a little bit. I just think it's very difficult nowadays to just do a show that's just focusing on words and people speaking for about 2 or 3 hours at a time. So I just think it's important to vary things up, and you will have people that will prefer music to straight acting. You'll have people that will prefer straight acting to theatre. You'll have people that prefer dance. So we try and incorporate everything. I just think it's important to, if you can, include all of those aspects into whatever it is you're working on.
Do you think it's like a given to kind of put music and acting together, theatre together?
I think it's become more the norm nowadays. Like, I spoke to someone a while ago who was like, I've never actually seen a straight play. I've never sat down and watched a play. I've always watched musicals, or I've seen concert reviews and whatever. So I think people are more, I think because there's more people doing musicals nowadays, and that's because they're big sellers and they get audiences. It's natural. So everyone wants to go down that route. I do think there's still a hidden market for people that are just theatre purists who just want to be in plays, or they want to watch plays. I'll be honest, I prefer to go and see a good play. I would like to go and see a play, try and work out stories and work out characters without someone having to go every 5 minutes. I still enjoy musicals in that respect, that have script as well and use performance. But I think I'll always have a special place in my heart for plays, because I'm being honest, that's how I grew up. I didn't grow up with a musical group. There wasn't, my school didn't do musicals. They very little did drama. So I've always grown up to know plays are my thing. So when I came into musicals, it's something new to learn. But I think plays will always be where my heart is and where it belongs. But I think it is difficult nowadays to try and do a show of some type without there being music, or without there being dance or artistry, or even projections, using visual aids as well to sell the show. I think because the audience is more sophisticated nowadays, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of feel like because the audience is more sophisticated, you've got to try and keep their attention going.
Definitely, yeah.
The whole time. Sometimes 2 blokes on the stage is not always enough to keep people entertained. So I think you do have to dabble, so to speak.
Excellent.
What inspires you to write and direct productions?
I think over the years, I've written little things. Like when I started out, I did Holton Radio, I think, back in the day, about early 2000s. And in that, I wanted to do a show that included sketches. So I just started writing stuff. And when I think I really got into writing when I went to university, because part of what you had to do in your third year is you had to put on a show. You had to do something. And everyone else was doing Brechtian theatre and doing whatever else. And I actually worked on my own because I wanted to do something by myself and wanted to create a one-man show sort of feel. And also as well because I'd done the whole thing of working with my university colleagues, and as lovely they were, there could be a bit of a headache because everyone wants the same thing, and I thought, I'm not doing any of that. I could just have that internal dialogue with myself. And part of the thing that I wrote was I wrote about different characters in a block of flats, and I just wrote different characters, and I wrote different bits and different jokes. And from that, I thought, actually, I quite like writing. I like writing. I think as the years have gone by, and when I used to run Split Ends and now with Soup, I kind of see it as a good outlet for me to write. And I actually now get to a point now which I prefer to write. Just bear me a sec.
You okay, Josh?
I'm good, yeah.
Have you had a nice day?
Yeah. Gonna have my tea after this.
Oh no! Oh God! I had mine before.
Yeah. I'm having mine after this. To be fair.
Yeah,
oh God! Was I the only one who had it before?
Yes. Ever.
We were we were 10 minutes late for this recording because I decided to. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Where was I? Yeah. So I kind of enjoy writing more now because I kind of like the idea of creating a world and creating characters and and like the cast that I currently work with Soup, or anyone that I have written group things for people, and I like that feeling when people read them and just go, oh, I'm going to go for this, I'm going to go for that, and oh my god, it's such a well constructed script. So that's kind of how I got into it, really. It's just I found it by accident. Like a lot of things that I do in life, I find it by accident. But it's a good accident to have. And I think over the years I've finessed the way I write stuff. I focus more on structure, I focus more on character, and yeah, I suppose it's kind of my strength, really. I think it's one of my main strengths that I do have. So hopefully it's something that I'll keep doing as long as people want me to do it.
Really? Do you think directing comes hand in hand with that, or did that come later on?
I do think that there has to be a director's sort of mind on you when you are writing these things. Because when you write something, you kind of see it and you kind of think, oh, this is where they'll be, this is when they'll be talking to this person, this is what the set will look like. So you've got two hats on at the same time. What I try and avoid doing is I avoid directing stuff that I've written, because I don't think you can be objective when you're directing something that you've already written.
Right.
Because you kind of closed your mind off. The brilliant thing, particularly with Soup now, is Danny directs the shows, and Danny does a fantastic job, and he has a fantastic wealth of experience. And we had Hayley, who came in last year to co-direct Dracula. And what was great about it is you hand over that script and you sort of just go, can you make it work? And when they turn around and say, oh yes, we'll do this, they'll think of things that I've never thought of in a million years, and that's what makes it a good collaborative experience.
I think that's the director's job, isn't it? To be like, I see these words, now I'm going to actually make it into something that you may not have even imagined as the writer.
Oh, they cried. So like, why have you written this? I suppose that's the only advantage of being a writer, is like you can have your imagination run away. You can type it up. Somebody else's problem now. And then Danny says to me, he texts me going, Dracula rises out the coffin. How is that going to happen? But you start, that's kind of where it becomes fun then, because you kind of start discussing, okay, we think we could do this and we could do it well, and then you get your cast involvement as well, and they will come up with things that you've never thought of, not just with the practicalities, but with the character side of things as well. They'll come up with things and you go, oh, I never wrote it like that. Oh, that's interesting. And I love that. And I'm not a shrieking violet when it comes to stuff I've written. I believe that once you write something, you pass it over and it's up to people to make it work. You can't be precious. Unfortunately, I have worked with people that are precious about when they've written something. And it kind of is, it's a dead end the minute you do that. I just think, don't get me wrong, if I will always stand my ground. If I think something has got to stay in for a reason, or it has to be in a certain way, there's a reason for it. And if I can argue about it, and I can argue my case, then so be it. But 9 times out of 10, I don't have a good argument for it, or it's not a strong enough argument. I just go, all right, fair enough. Because you have to have trust. If you don't have the trust to believe in the people that are making your work come to life, then you might as well just do it yourself.
Exactly.
So I just rather people would create it themselves and create the best version of what I've created. Make it work.
Really? So what advice would you give to people who would want to write and direct productions?
Don't.
Just don't do it. Try something.
No, what I would say, if you are an aspiring writer and you want to write, just write. Doesn't mean that it won't go anywhere. It may never see the light of day. But if you've got an idea in your head and you think, oh, I want to put that onto paper, whether it's a novel, whether it's a play, whether it's a screenplay, radio play, if you want to do it, just do it. Sit at a laptop, write out, because 9 times out of 10, I'll just write a load of rubbish, and then I'll go back and edit it, and then I'll keep tweening it until it becomes right. I would just say just write. And I think most importantly, and I've had friends that have done this in the past, is they start to write stuff and they never finish it. Finish it.
Yeah.
Absolutely finish it. No matter how much you get writer's block or how lacking you are in it, you have to finish it because you're doing yourself a disservice. With directing, because I've directed a few things. I've not directed as much as people like Danny or people at Centenary. I'm just about to go and do my first big directing job, so to speak, and that's with Centenary next year. I'm directing the stage version of LOLO.
Oh wow!
Based on the BBC sitcom, and I'm really looking forward to that. And that's going to be, but I've stepped up in that way. I think the best advice I would give is look for the opportunities to develop into that role. If you're in a position to shadow a director, do it, because I did that and I learned so much. They will go through things with you. Watch how someone directs. Read a few things about how it is to direct. Know what you're good at. And just don't be afraid to take the opportunities and learn as much about backstage as possible, because the thing with being a director is you have to know everything about the theatre, not just being an actor. It's not always enough. You have to understand how your actors work, because each actor will have different requirements. You'll have to understand how it needs to look good on stage. You have to look at the technicalities of what you're doing. You have to look at the staging. You have to look at costume. Budget is a massive one. You have to look at how can you afford to do this, and can you stay within the budget that you're allocated? Can you make it on the cheap? Just look for those opportunities, and there's quite a few things like masterclasses that exist online. Go and get into them. But if you're serious about it and you want to learn, by all means, then go and do it. We'll encourage people who want to direct, who want to write, who want to learn stuff, not just about on stage. And if people want to get involved with that side of things, then by all means, contact us on our Facebook page or via our email, and we will happily chat with you. We'll happily give you advice. But yeah, just go and seek those opportunities, because you won't get them automatically. I think that's what people have got to realise in life, is that you won't get handed everything. You have to go and want it yourself.
Definitely.
Particularly, there can be people who just want to do it and actually don't want to do it for the right reasons. They just want to see their name in lights, or they just want to be accoladed. And it's not about, it's a lot of hard work. I mean, I've seen, again, I'll use Danny as an example. Danny is someone who embodies being a director. Because it is it is extremely hard work, and a lot of hours go into it, a lot of time, a lot of commitment goes into it. So if you're serious about doing it and you want to put the work in and you want to create something that everyone will enjoy, then do it. Absolutely do it.
So where can people find Soup Productions online? I'm guessing that was supposed to be at the end.
Yes, so we've got a Facebook page at the moment, which is facebook.com/soupproductionsuk. We're on there. We're on our Facebook page. We've also got an email address, which is soupproductionsuk@gmail.com. And that will come straight through to myself. So you can either message us on Facebook or you can email us directly. And we do also have our YouTube channel. And they can actually find examples of our past work. So if you are interested and you want to have a look at what we've done previously, then we've got our works on there for people to look at. But yeah, that's the best way for you to get in contact with us. And we welcome new people for 2021.
Excellent. Well, thank you for doing this. Seriously, it's been absolutely great. I've really enjoyed this one.
It's really been fun, you guys. And can I just say, well done to you guys for making these sessions. They're really good to listen to, and they're good fun. And I think they need a much bigger platform, to be perfectly honest. I think a lot of local performers and community people can learn so much. So, keep up the good work, guys.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you. I hope you all enjoy your dinners.
Which just will do. See you later.
See you soon.